Welcome to the Dalorrian Show. I'm your host, Dalorrian. And last night, I slept for 11 hours. It's kind of a miracle. But I think I was just so tired, nothing was going to wake me up. And you would think that sleeping that much would mean that you feel rested. And most of the day I was like, I can go right back to sleep. And I guess that's aging. I think that's having small kids, And again, I still feel like I'm fighting something, like some kind of sickness or inflammation of some kind. But yeah, it didn't help. Like when I did get up, it was like really rainy and cold outside, and there's I haven't seen the sun in like a couple days, and it's like, geez, just want to keep snoozing. But I didn't. And so, I ended up perking up a little whenever I had some coffee during the midday. And then I was like, oh, okay, these 11 hours actually did do something. But I think I'm like in a recovery phase. After missing so much sleep with the new baby, and I still miss some, right? I think my body's like, all right, let's get a few of these long nights in if we can, and then we can level off. Now I'm just guessing that that's what's going on, but I have no idea. What am I, a scientist? No, no, I'm not. I'm just a guy. I'm a wizard. Harry. Something else, this is the old man section of a video game of the video game podcast. This is in case you weren't. If this is your first episode, this is not just a 40-year-old man complaining about things, which I do complain about things, but this is really about video games and video game news and kind of like what's going on with that. And yeah, it's this past weekend, my dad came up and he wanted help picking out a computer. And he's a Mac guy, and before you think of him as like driving a Volkswagen with a Apple sticker on the back, that is not him. He is a high-tech redneck for sure. And he just wants ease of use. He's like, I don't have to deal with stuff. I don't have to deal with viruses, even though Windows does pretty good at that now, right? Like, I feel like, I don't know, like in 2026, does anyone need any virus software? Does anyone need McAfee anymore? Probably not, right? I don't think that's a thing. I mean, maybe, I don't know. Maybe I don't go to the dark sides of the internet like I used to. And maybe that's the difference. But, Windows has seemingly beefed up their game. But, for whatever reason, he's had a Mac. Like he's had like an iMac for like 17 years. And his iMac is like, there's really nothing wrong with it, which is a testament to, some of the older Apple ingenuity. But his shit just won't update anymore. He's like, I can't update Chrome. I can't update, Apple, whatever he's on. Like he's like, they don't put the newest OS on my computer. And I was like, well, maybe you're right. I haven't looked at it, but he's like, yeah, I just think it's like, I can't do anything else. So he's like, I'm going to keep it. There's some things I can do, but it's just time for an upgrade. And I'm like, all right, it's fine. So, I was like, oh, well, let's just go to Costco. I was like, they'll have whatever you want. And, sometimes that stuff's cheaper and let's do that. And interestingly enough, like I've never had a lot of trouble with like gout, but I think I have gout now. so that's fun. Like I've had a couple times, like 2 or 3 times in the past, like 2 years where like my foot will just kind of hurt. I'm like, did I do something? And I feel like I kind of had to limp on it. But I woke up like on Friday morning and like my foot, like where your big toe joint is, that's where it happens. It's kind of like red and swollen, and I could barely walk on my right foot. And so like the next day, Saturday, he came up and I was like, hey, I'll go with you to Costco and do all this, but I'm not going to walk too much. I got to kind of stay off this thing, which is kind of weird. Like I don't need crutches. It's not that bad, whatever. But, it's, again, I just feel kind of like inflamed, and that's part of it. That's inflammation, right? So maybe I need some St. John's Wort. I don't know. No, I'm kidding. That's for depression or something. But yeah, I don't know. I need some of the anti-inflammatories because I just feel like my body is just swelling up, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what the hell's going on, but yeah, so my dad, we were looking like at the iMac, which is just a screen and the computer is in the screen and there's speakers and there's a wireless mouse and a keyboard, like a little keyboard. And you just plug that screen in and bam, you got a computer. And it's hard to beat. But I was like, hey dad, that's like 1,200, 1,300 bucks. I was like, you can get the iMac mini, just like the little box, the square box. You get your own mouse and keyboard, your own monitor. I mean, you're gonna save a lot of money probably. You don't need a lot of crazy shit. And I was like, I even got a monitor you can have. I mean, it's 1080p, but like, he's like, oh, it's fine. It's like you can have it. It would work fine for you. And so we're kind of like wandering around, like thinking about it. And the iMac Mini's like 800 bucks or like 750 or something. Like it's got a better processor, it's got more storage. 512 gigabytes versus 256 in the iMac, which is like nothing. And he's like, yeah, that's cool. It's like I'm just kind of talking to him, and I was like, oh yeah, they only do USB-C now. So if you have any USB like B or whatever to C, that's not going to help you. It's all C ports now, which is fine. That's totally fine. It's just kind of a pain in the ass if you have any. Like, I mean, most of the stuff that I have is USB, right? But the way Mac is like they've leaned all the way in. So their computers no longer have any B slots like the old B slots. They just have C slots. So if you don't have a C to C or a C to whatever, I guess you need an adapter. I don't know. I guess you could find an adapter. Which they make those. That's not too bad. Or I guess they do. I don't know. Do they do a B to C? I mean, surely they do. I know they do C to B. B to C, C to B. Anyway. So, the only thing that he was concerned about was like, I got him, talking to him. He's like, yeah, I think you're right. He's like, I could do that. And then I was like, oh, but the monitors that I have, the monitor I have and stuff like doesn't have speakers on it. Like this thing has speakers on it. It's like, do you care about that? He's like, yeah, watch a video or something. I'm like, yeah, all right. And so we look at the gaming monitors. Like these gaming monitors, they'll have speakers on them. I'm like, well, Dad, actually, with gaming, you're usually chatting with people. You don't want any volume coming out of your speakers. You usually have headphones because you're chatting and doing stuff. And I swear to God, like as I was started talking about it, gaming, like I could feel his soul and his attention, not just his attention, but like his soul, like starting to leave his body. Like just kind of like I could just see like his internal spirit ascending to the next level. And I was like, I gotta stop this talk. I gotta bring him back. And so I was like, yeah, but no, these don't have speakers. And so we're walking around, and he's like, I'm just gonna get the iMac. I was like, all right, man. I'm gonna get the iMac. He's like, it's fine. And then I was like, all right, that's cool. You can get the iMac. That's cool. I was like, if it were me, I'd get the iMac Mini. I get the Mac Mini. It's just a better thing. It'll last you longer. Which I mean, he's gonna be fine. He's older. If this computer lasts him 17 years like the other one did, he's gonna be just fine. And this might be the last computer he buys. I mean, hopefully not. I hope he lives to a ripe old age of 100. But he's not the most healthy guy. But when it's your time, it's your time. Like I've seen some very unhealthy people live very long. I have a grandfather that's still alive, and he's going to be 88 this year. And he hasn't been healthy since I've been alive. He's been sedentary and kind of fat since I've known him. And that guy's still kicking and doing all right. So I mean, all things considered. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe don't stress too much. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Listener, don't stress. Just buy your iMac, be an old man, eat the Oreo, whatever. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. I mean, I feel like my social media stuff all the time is like just videos about shit that's killing us, like the food and the plastics and whatever, you know. And then that's probably true, but it's like, yeah, I mean, you know what, man, I'm just gonna live, bro. Like, I mean, I'm not just gonna be an asshole about eating, but like, you know, I'm just gonna live, I think. But yeah, so yeah, you know, like that's kind of what happened. He chose, and he's like, all right, I gotta get some paper plates. I was like, okay, hey, you know, do it. It's all about the environment. So he walked out of there with like a $1,300 iMac and a stack of paper plates. And I picked up some wine for Mrs. Dalorrian, and that was all I did. But I forgot I needed batteries. I actually needed some batteries, and I felt like an asshole because as soon as I got home, I was like, God, I need batteries. I need C batteries for my kid has a thing that needs C batteries, but I forgot. Anyway, I'm getting older. It's my birthday this month. We'll talk about that, I'm sure, as we get closer. But anyway, that's what's been going on. You know, I haven't been streaming a lot. I didn't stream really at all this weekend. Just being kind of sick, tired, busy, and I hope to stream this week. But let's get into it. The games that I've been playing, and you know, Wuthering Waves is a game that I've been playing, and it's got good combat, big titties, and flirty women. You know, like that's just everything I could want, all in one place. But no, I'm kidding. But I'm not kidding. Actually, I'm not kidding. But about the everything I want is what I'm kidding about. So, well, maybe not. Anyway, so I've been playing that, and you know, I have one team that I feel like is pretty good, and that I've been working on, and you know, I'm just kind of like, I'm not going super hard on that game. I'm kind of like saving my Aster right now, which is your currency to pull characters and weapons. And my team is a you know, kind of a free to play team. I have Augusta, who's my main DPS. She's a fiery redhead with a big sword, just beats everything up. And so I got her, and then I got her signature weapon, right? And you know, it's actually, she's actually quite good. She is, let's adjust my mic here a little bit. She's very strong. And what's great about her is that you don't need other characters who are like paid characters to do well. So I have like a 5-star support and a 4-star sub DPS, and I'm able to do like pretty much anything I want to do. It took me forever to get her signature weapon though. God, I probably pulled 60 times. I mean, just horrible luck to get her weapon. And you know, some characters, they need a weapon, like Furlova, for example. She's like a ranged DPS emo girl, and if you don't have her weapon, you're kind of losing out on like 40% of the damage apparently. So it's like some of them actually like need their weapon to really be good and reach their full potential. But and she kind of, I don't know, she didn't really need it. Well, she does. I mean, I think her ability on her weapon like boost her shields. Like she gets a shield as she starts doing damage and stuff. And so, you know, so she's good, but you know, I need another team. So I would love to have Carlotta. Carlotta's a, you know, a girl. They're all girls now. Like all like most of the characters are girls. Let's just be real. But it's mostly waifus. And she's like an ice type or whatever, and she has a gun, and she jumps around and she shoots her gun, and she gets ultimates often, and she just does crazy damage and just doesn't get hit. And it's super satisfying to play. And so I wish I could pull her, but it doesn't seem like she's going to be on any banners for a while. So I'm either going to like just save up until they do a rerun of her, which, you know, God knows when that would happen, for my second team, or there's a new character coming out, Ameth, who's out like today or tomorrow. I think tomorrow. And or maybe today for you, but she's a DPS, I think. But you know, if she needs other 5 stars that I don't have, I'm probably gonna skip on her. You know, like I started pulling in this game with Cardathea as a rerun. And Cardathea is like one of the lore, like in the lore, you have like resonators or these characters that are like the protectors of the land, like the most powerful being or fighter or magical person in the land. And there's a couple of these you can unlock, and she's one of them. And she's she's kind of weird because she's like she's a little girl. Like I don't know how she's not a little girl. She seems like a lady or like a teen, late teen. But then her ability is like she becomes like a bigger woman, but not like fat, just like bigger boobs, bigger, more mature. I don't know. It's really weird. There's a whole story there. But her like her character, if you unlock like a few copies of her and like level her up like kind of intrinsically, she scales off of HP, like her health, and she can kind of solo content. It doesn't matter who her sub DPS or healers are. And so I was like thinking, I was like, do I grind this shit out in the time that I have and get like 3 copies of her and just like then that's like a team that I have, or not? And then as I played as her, it was like she just didn't feel good. She just felt like shit to me, and she did damage, sure, but I just couldn't figure out how to like do her ultimate the way that I wanted to, or I don't know. I didn't take enough time, I guess, to get the combos down or something. And I was like, this just I don't want to. I want to turn my brain off. I want to do Carlotta where I just shoot the gun and then I shoot it a few times and then I do my ultimate and I keep shooting and it's great and I don't have to think about it too much. And then Augusta, not too much thinking about that either. It's like a lot of heavy attacking and then your ultimate you have to like queue up and then you do like your several hits and then you do your final hit at the end. But it's pretty straight. Like once you do it, it's straightforward. Cardathia may have been the same, but for whatever reason, I played as her, and she had like this big, crazy sword ability that she like splits the world with her sword. And I was like, it's cool, but I just don't like the way it feels. I didn't like the way that it felt. So I was like, even though she's super powerful, I think I'm just gonna pass. That's part of the. And I'm not a true free to play player. I spent $5, so I get like, for a few more days, I get like 90 asterite a day. That's it. I mean, and I don't know if I'll pay any more money on this game, but that's it. And I've completed the Renacita story campaign. I did Chisa's story, which is kind of like she's in the Matrix or some shit. She's a cool character, but yeah. So now like I need to go to Starforge Academy, where like these new banner characters like where they live, where it's like there's motorcycles and stuff like that. But I've just been kind of waiting on doing that. I don't know, like why. I think I might record it, throw it on YouTube. I don't know. But I'm just kind of holding off on that. There's plenty of other things I've been doing to farm asteroid. And like I said, doing the dailies. There's dailies and kind of like every 2 weeks there's things you can do for asteroid. And there's tons of mini games for asteroid that I still need to play, like a card game and like a passive, like kind of like an auto chess game is in there. And there's like a fishing game apparently that I haven't even started. So it's crazy. There's all sorts of crazy shit. But I do stand by, like I said last time, like I really want a Marvel version of this game. And Arknight Infields is like the newest gacha that came out, and it's like it's a gacha game, but it's a factory game. And I don't really play factory games, not really into that. And I was like, do I play this game? I really thought about it. I installed it even, and I eventually came up with like, you know what? I can't do 2 gachas, bro. Like I cannot do 2 gachas. Like I don't have the time. There's other games I'm playing. I just can't do 2. And I think though, if the characters look cooler in Arknight Infield, like a lot of them are like cats and dragons, and there's like a panda bear or some shit. I was like, like if it was just, I don't know, if the aesthetic was a little different and it wasn't a factory game with it, which I think that's a cool concept to like, it's a cool concept to blend another game in with it. But I'm just not a factory guy. So, if it was like a team management, send people out on missions or like base building, then I probably would be more interested. But just factory building, I don't know. I don't know, man. So yeah, but my dream gotcha game though, like I said, is Marvel. Like just let me pull a 5-star Thor and an Iron Man and a Rocket Raccoon and a Black Panther or whatever the hell. Like you have unlimited characters, cycle the banners, you have tons of story you can do. Plenty, I mean, dude, plenty of farming. Make it co-op, make it good co-op though. And you got a really good game. Don't do the whole Avengers bullshit that what was that Square Enix who did that? They shut that down. And to be fair, I played that game a good bit. And I tried to play like the Black Panther expansion and it was just ass. And I played like the Hawkeye, the girl Hawkeye, the daughter. I played that expansion a little bit and it was kind of interesting, but ass. And then eventually they shut it down. And I think, I guess can you still play that? Maybe. Maybe you can't. I don't think you can. I think that you cannot play that. But yeah, so it's like, Marvel, they shut games down. Marvel Heroes is great. But I wish someone would get a hold, like NetEase or someone would get a hold of Marvel and do a gotcha game. Um, that would probably make them a lot of money. And I think that would be cool. Like seeing how these games, and I think it would be cool to even be anime, like an anime Marvel game would be amazing. And that new Marvel fighting game that's coming out. I don't even like fighting games. I'm probably gonna pick that up because Iron Man as a Gundam just makes sense. You know, like if you think about Iron Man and everything that he is, um, he's a robot, right? Well, he's not a robot, but he has the suit. And so looking at like that Marvel, I think it's like was it Lanoy or something like that? Let's see, Marvel fighting Tokon, Marvel Tokon. Oh man, it looks great. It just looks great. But yeah, like Iron Man is like a mech is just perfect, you know. And in the animation, like having anime as a layer to your Marvel characters is just so great. So that game comes out. I don't know. It says soon, right? I should probably add this to my wish list. I'm gonna be all over that. So like, if they did like an anime gotcha game with Marvel characters, bro. Oh man, I'm not a huge Marvel guy, but damn, that would just resonate with me so much. I have so many Marvel games that I've loved that have been shut down. There used to be a card game. Let's see. There used to be a Marvel card game. Marvel card game that got shut down. Um, Not Marvel Snap. I've played Marvel Snap. That's all I'm gonna find. It's not that. It was years ago. It was probably like 10, 12 years ago. Maybe it was War of Heroes. Yeah, I think it was War of Heroes. Dude, I used to have a banging deck in War of Heroes. I remember my buddy who's like he is a pro Halo player or whatever. And that's I actually met Ninja through him at a in a NLG tournament. But I ended up before the game shut down. We didn't know the game was going to shut down. I ended up selling him a lot of my cards for like $150 because you could trade with people. It was on your phone, but your account you could trade with people, and then you do like your solo missions. But most of the time, pulling cards was either money or missions, and then you had some single player stuff, which was very bare bones, and unsatisfying. But then you could fight against other people, and that was like kind of um, how you did it. And it wasn't like a live fight, right? You'd like face their decks against your deck. And like, man, it was a great game. So there's been so many Marvel games that have been shut down. Like I would love to see a gotcha game that hopefully would not get shut down. Anyway, that's enough about gotcha and Wuthering Waves. I'll continue to do my dailies on Wuthering Waves and just kind of dick around with that. But I'm not losing my mind over it. Next up, World of Warcraft. So the Dark Portal opens up, I think, on Thursday. If you're listening to this, it's like Wednesday. It's Tuesday night for me. Um, Opens up on Thursday, so I have a little bit of time left to get my mount. So my paladin is level 60, Blood Elf Paladin, and I'm on the Night Slayer server, and I don't have all of my High Warlord pieces. There's like 2 more pieces that I have. I just don't think I'm going to have enough time to grind PvP to get the honor. I missed out on AV weekend. I don't know if I'm going to get enough honor to finish my pieces. It's not that important. I mean, like, I'm going to be totally fine, going into the Outlands with that character, and it'll be totally fine. As a ret, protection, whatever I want to do. But my mount, so like getting the fast charger mount, it's kind of a quest chain, and you do have to go into Strathalholm, I think, at the end and either kill an NPC or find an NPC or something. And so like my fear is if I don't do it before the portal opens, I might have trouble finding people to go to Strathalholm with me because I don't have the key I definitely don't have a key to go in like the back door or whatever. So yeah, I feel like my time is limited there. But also, I have a warlock who's ready to go. And my mind also thinks about what if I let this paladin chill and I come back to him and I take my fully kitted warlock on into the Outlands and just do that first, and then come back and level up the paladin later. So I may do that. That's tempting, like the paladin's not quite where I want him to be. And again, it's just a mount really. And and with this expansion, I really look forward to just farming. Like I really do want to be like a protection paladin and like do some tanking and stuff, but and also just want to farm like some dungeons, like being able to go into a dungeon and just tank the whole thing as a paladin and like kind of have a thorns build where like I have a holy shield and they hit me and they're just taking damage as they hit me. Sounds super satisfying and fun. So that's something I want to do, but I think that the Burning Crusade, this anniversary, like by my count, it will last about 15, 16 months until we go into the Wrath of the Lich King. So I have time. I have time, right? To do that. So we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen there. WoW is something that I always love, and with like games shutting down, talking about that, I say this to you, I say this to everybody. Like, yeah, this is Burning Crusade coming out for a third time, but listen, man, play it when you can. You never know. Like, you never know when it's going to be the last time. And we'll talk about that later with Ashes of Creation in the news. Another MMO that is having its last time. But yeah, you never know, man. You never know. Like there's games and there's things that I wish I could go back and play or experience. And I can't. So like just the fact that there is a version, a live version with the community of the Burning Crusade of a game that came out, in the mid to late 2000s is quite great. And I'm not just like S and the D of Blizzard here. They do a lot of things that are very wrong and horrible. Like communicate with Jeffrey Epstein. But, it's just good. It's just good that it exists. A lot of people love the Burning Crusade. A lot of people say if there were Burning Crusade servers that just lasted forever, that's what they'd play, and that's like their favorite version of the game. So I'm excited to go in for the first time. I've been to the Outlands and I've done some of those raids like in retail, but I've never gone in like this. So I'm, I have kind of like a leveling guide, and I think we're just going to stick to it and try to experience the content that way, and it's going to be great. So if you're ever bored, come to the stream and join us for that. Other game I've been playing is more of a rabbit hole than a game, a dark hole, kind of like the Portal and WoW, but Rock Band freaking 4. And if you listened last week, you heard me talk about like, I think I'm gonna get a guitar, maybe 2 guitars. This is a gift from Mrs. Dalorrian. I spent too much money on songs, on Rock Band 4, yada, 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 yada. Well, turns out I'm still buying songs. So I put a lot of money into it. And I have one guitar right now, which is like the PDP or whatever Riffmaster, which is really good. You plug it in, it works, it's easy, love it. I got a cracked version, CRKD, blue Les Paul, which was compelling because I was like, well, I want to try a couple different of these custom guitars. And it was compelling because it's like you can play it on Xbox, you can connect to PC easily if you want to play like the PC version of any of these Guitar Heroes, or there's like, there's PC versions of these games that you can still play. And you can play Fortnite Festival, blah, 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 blah. And this guitar is so damn complicated. It has a phone app, which is overdeveloped, I would say. There's like animations for shit that shouldn't be. I don't know. It's kind of silly. And you can update your guitar, like the bass guitar, and then you can update like the neck. You can change the haptics and like the strum, which is cool. And then like you have to like know, like you can turn a knob and the knob changes the settings based on what game you're playing. And like I tried to hook this thing up and just play with it, and I could just never get it to work right. And you can plug in directly. You can pop out like the pickups, and there's like a USB in there that's hidden. And you can plug that shit in, and I don't know, man. It just got really like what could be cool became quite the pain in the ass. So I decided to send it back. Used it, played it a little bit. Mrs. DeLorean. I played bass on that guitar, and once I finally got it working. But I was like, this is too much. Like, this is not. It's cool, but it's just too much. And then the PDP has like you have the 5 buttons at the top, and then like down low if you want to do solos, which it doesn't matter. It's the same buttons. But the Les Paul does not have that, which again is not that important. But yeah, so I sent it back and I ordered another PDP, which is stuck in the facility somewhere. So I'm going to get that at some point, maybe, and then I'll return that. And I ordered another PDP, the third one, which it was on sale, so I got it cheaper. So I'm gonna have to like send one back. So I'm gonna send 2 guitars back. Again, well, the second PDP is not my fault. Okay, it's in the facilities, and I've tried to cancel it. It's like it's gonna be late, which means like it may never come. So, and if it does, I'll just return it. The other one should be here tomorrow though. And then I also ordered a mic, a microphone that works with Rock Band 4. And I assume Fortnite Festival is actually really cheap. I think it was like $30, $20. Uses AA batteries. You plug it in. Works like a charm. Like there's nothing to it. And once I started thinking about all this stuff, like hooking this shit up, I was like, oh, I'm gonna need like a USB extender. An Xbox Series X, like I think only has 3 USB ports. 2 on the back, 1 on the front. I think the same for Series X. I mean, the Series X may have like 4 ports, like total. But either way, I was like, I don't know, I'm not gonna risk it. So I bought like 2 little extenders. So you can see like my pocketbook is really just burning here. So I got like a little USB extender. It works totally fine. Have it plugged in. So I have a microphone and a guitar plugged in, and then I could plug another guitar. Then you could get another microphone because in Rock Band you can sing lead vocals or harmony vocals. Which I didn't even know that existed. But is cool and interesting. And then I did what I never wanted to do. And I pulled the trigger on a drum kit. And I did not pay $350 for a used official Xbox Rock Band 4 kit, which is, just the 4 pads and a kick pedal. I decided to get a $50 Roll Limitless adapter. Then I went on Etsy to get a case for it for like $20, 3D printing case for it. I could have got the $100 version of the Roll Limitless. That's like a box and a case. I don't know why I didn't. The 50 seemed sufficient. It was like a little motherboard with you have plugins in it. And we're gonna see if it works. But then I needed an electric drum kit, so I got a little Donner DED80 little beginner electric drum kit. 4 pads, 3 cymbals, 2 feet, 2 kicks, 1 for the hi-hat, 1 for the kick drum. And yeah, maybe that's a huge mistake. I mean, it is an E drum kit. I could go play up in church, bro. I don't know. I could do something. But supposedly I'm going to be able to hook it up and convert it and map it out and then actually be able to play drums, which would be really fun. I don't know. Maybe I'll stream that. I don't know. Like, again, I'm going down a dark place here, and me and Mrs. Dalorrian we're not like writing it off as like a midlife crisis or anything, but we're saying like, my birthday's coming up. I was like, this is kind of my birthday. I'm just going to go crazy on this Rock Band shit for a minute, like some music stuff. And it's been fun, man. Like I've been playing, like I played last night a little bit, 30 minutes, and I'll just kind of stand up like back here. I've rearranged my office, by the way. If you've listened to the others or seen camera, you would realize that. But I moved some things over. I mounted a TV that used to be behind me, moved my desk here. So like behind me, I'll just stand up and play, for like 30 minutes. And then I feel like there's blood stuck in my arms and legs. And I'm like, God, I'm getting so old. I'm getting so fucking old. But, play a little bit. It's like, oh yeah, this is nice. This is great. But like after like 30 minutes, I start to get like a little tired because I'm playing on hard. And then like the way that the game works is like I'm in a career mode. And then sometimes you get to pick the song, sometimes you don't. And so sometimes they throw sometimes they throw a song at you that's already hard. And then if you're on hard mode, like it's already like a difficult song, then you really get screwed. So I haven't failed any yet, but there's been some where I'm like, oh God, I'm really struggling. And I'm not ready for expert yet. I could probably do expert on a very easy guitar song. And that's the thing, like some like it's like a 5-star rating. And like if you have zero or like circles, 5 circles, if you have 0 circles filled in, that's like the easiest guitar, right? And they have it for like drums, bass, vocals. They'll tell you how difficult all the songs are for each. And so if it was like a 0 difficulty on guitar, I could probably do that on expert, no problem. But again, you never really know what you're gonna do in this career mode. So I'm not getting to pick out all the songs. So I'm just going hard and like hoping that it's like a 3-star hard. I'll be able to do. I'll probably get like, like 90% or more. If I know the song, it's even easier. If it's a song I don't know that well, then I'm gonna struggle. But yeah, it's just fun, man. It's just fun to like listen to music, incorporate music into the gameplay, and jam. Unlock some haircuts and clothes and instruments. It's cool. And so we're gonna go out of town this weekend. And we're staying in a different town. And I have some buddies in that town. And so I think I'm gonna take this stuff. I don't know if I'll have my drum kit yet. My drum kit's supposed to come soon. I don't know if I'll have that. I don't even know if I'll try to set that up. I might just try to set that up on location and get some buddies from the old days I went to college with, and like maybe we'll go down memory lane and play some old music or something on Rock Band. I mean, look, Rock Band came out what, like 2015, the last one, and now Harmonix, they only do Fortnite Festival. And I've played Fortnite Festival, and that's kind of what inspired me to like get into this. But like recently playing Fortnite Festival, it's like if you try to fill up with other people to play, like for me, it never fills up. So like I just end up playing like by myself, which is fine. It doesn't. I don't have to have other people, playing their guitars and me playing my guitar to like do whatever. But whenever it first came out, it was pretty popular. But now it's like kind of dead. And so I wonder if like Harmonix will die within Epic, within under their umbrella, their massive umbrella, or if like will Fortnite Festival mature and become something more? I don't know. It's hard to say. I'll say this: Fortnite Festival, if you want to buy a song, like it's like they rotate their songs and you want to keep one that you can play at all times, it's like $5. Eesh. Rock Band, it's $2, which is still probably too expensive, but damn, damn. So yeah, I don't know. Like I'm trying to enjoy Rock Band 4, knowing that like with whatever new consoles that come out next, right? Xbox Series X. We'll talk about this later. Our Xbox is even going to have new boxes. That's what I'm playing on. PlayStation 6, whenever that may happen. Will that support Rock Band 4? A game that will be, a game that is now 11 years old? I don't know, man. Maybe not. This could be like the last time I get to do it. Obviously, and I talked about last podcast, like the hoops I had to jump through just to get the game on Xbox Series X. So yeah, for me, it's kind of like a final hurrah with this type of game, maybe. Because like I said, I don't really have a lot of hope that Fortnite Festival is going to do anything with it. I hope that they do, but yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it's also horrible that I've spent all this money on this. But it's fine. Who cares? It's not like I'm torturing children like our leaders in our country and whatnot. Anyway, all right. Let's get into the news. First thing we'll talk about is Ashes of Creation. And this is a MMO that I have followed for probably 2 years. They've been working on this for longer. There was a Kickstarter for Ashes of Creation, and they had built up, I don't know, like $3 million, $4 million to make this. And, the promise of like any MMO is like it's going to be old school MMO. And then everybody kind of hypes around it like this is going to be it. This is what kills WoW, baby. Nobody wants to kill Final Fantasy 14 or ESO, and those games are fine for what they are. But the game as they would show it in the past couple of years, I didn't follow it like religiously, but there would be a couple like developer showcases they would have, and I would be like, oh, let's just see what they're doing with this game. Let's see what they're doing. And every time I saw this game, I thought to myself, this game's not real. Like this game's not real. Like this game can't, how do I mean this? The way, like the game, the fidelity and graphics and how the game functioned with like combat and movement, was just not something that's possible for an MMO. I don't think. I don't think people have computers good enough to do that on average. And maybe they do now. Like if ever, like let's just assume everybody has like a 3080 or whatever, like a whatever. Like we're on the 5000s now, so like I have like a 4080, I think. Like let's just say everybody has like a 380. Like you can probably run that at like 1080, 30 frames per second. You have to turn a lot of shit down. Well, you might could play Ashes of Creation. But I looked at it and I was like, these graphics are too good. There's too much single player fidelity in this, and I just don't think like what they would showcase was not a representation of like what could actually exist. And I was like, I just got a sense. I was like, I don't think they know how servers work. I was like, I don't think they know how like multiple people on a server, like how that's gonna go. And like how to appeal to like the masses. And I could be wrong, but I was partially right. And so this year, I mean, I think just in January, like they had like an alpha, like a early access, and a lot of people spent a lot of money on the Kickstarter, and then people obviously like bought into the early access. And I don't know how much they were charging for that. Again, this is not something that this game. I was like, if I was ever going to play Ashes of Creation, I was going to let everybody else take their swing at it. But unfortunately, though this game was out in early access, it's shutting down. And there's devs that are coming out, and some devs are like, yeah, we're not going to get payroll this time. The leader, is being, on the internet is being billed as a scammer. Like he ran a multi-level marketing before this, and he got all this money. And the agreement was if we don't come out with the game or like whatever, we can give our refund on the Kickstarter or something. But then they did early access, so that voided, everyone's payment, refund payment of their payment essentially. And so then I think he just resigned straight up and like kind of shadow resigned, and then like everything's just falling apart. So there's no like clear official closure. There was a lady that came on to the Discord and was saying like, hey, we're gonna get picked up by this company in China. So like maybe they're gonna try to salvage what they had. And at this point, dude, if you want a game to work, you kind of have to go to China. It used to be China was the knockoff scammy place. And with the gaming world, the West, developers in the West are the scammy weirdos. These Chinese and South Korean and Japanese games, which Japanese games have always been pretty legit, but these Chinese and South Korean games, dude, or these Korean games, they're getting legit, man. In comparison, playable, they look great, play great. It's sad. I mean, not sad that they're doing. I mean, now they probably don't have laws. They're probably like crunching the hell out of people, which in the West we don't really crunch anymore. I mean, if there's a studio that's going to crunch, it's going to be Rockstar, and I think even the past 5 years, 6 years, they've been kind of anti-crunch. As far as we know, God knows, like we'll see all the dirty laundry of GTA 6 whenever it's all said and done. But yeah, man, like it's crazy. This shit just got crowdfunded and dropped, and it's like it makes me think of Star Citizen, and I don't think Star Citizen is going to go away, but Star Citizen's been kickstarting for like 20 years now. My God. It makes me think they could have just Ashes of Creation. They could have just kept going. They could have just kept it going. But it's no longer. And New World's shutting down. I can't remember exactly when that's shutting down, but yeah, there's just here we are again. Like World of Warcraft was just the perfect MMO, man. I guess there could never be another one. Which to be fair, Ashes of Creation, it didn't really hit the Warcraft vibe for me. Like it was fantasy, it looked high fantasy, and it looked like it was going to be fine. It looked more like in the vein of ESO to me, like with how it played. Which I'm not a huge fan of ESO. So again, it's never really got me, but I feel bad for all the people who were hyped about this and all the people that gave their money. And I hope that they get their money back somehow. Maybe they won't. If nothing else, maybe it'll live on. in one way or the other. Speaking of living on, AI is going to outlive us all, and everyone on the internet and in the stock market even has been, well, let me say this: the internet not so much, but the stock market have been losing their minds. Like last week, Google Project Genie came out and they were like, we can create full high fidelity 3D video games with just prompts. Just give us a prompt. So there's videos, surfacing all over the internet. I haven't tried this myself, but of like a high quality looking open world games. So like picture like an open world fantasy, like Ashes of Creation or just anything, and then you're like a third person knight running around. There's like an NPC, and then you just run around some more. And so this was all that it is. And looking at it, if you're into games or a developer or anything, you look at this and you're like, well, this is not a video game. This is a demo, if nothing else. Which is still, like, don't get me wrong, it's very impressive that you can AI prompt and take control of something and run around in a 3D world. It's very impressive. But it's not a developer killer. But the normies of Wall Street, I guess, were like, this is gonna tank like this is a whole new thing. And so like Nintendo stock went down, Unity, which is like software makes games, went down, and Take Two went down. Like this video game stock started going down, which would be a good time to buy if you are cool to wait out the bullshit news for like a day or two. It's a fire sale on that stuff, but yeah, it's just silly, to think like that you're just going to prompt it and then boom, let's ship the game. Like Unreal Engine 5. Now that's the real deal. Like that's a tool that you can prompt and copy and do some stuff. And I mean, look, you have Expedition 33, which is swept last year in 2025, and that was an Unreal Engine 5 game. 33 people, and so I will say, like with this Gemini and all this stuff, it does turn what we know is like AAA on its head, where we have like Ubisoft, EA, Take Two, Rockstar making these games where they have thousands of developers. Bethesda, where you have like thousands of developers and contractors making these games over 10 years at a time, And, we're already seeing the death of that with like how long it takes for them to make these games from scratch or from their own engines. But then you're seeing the death of it with, you have these smaller teams like Larian and it's not Kepler. Who makes Expedition 33? I forget it's not Kepler, they're a publisher, but the developers' names, but they can churn out a game quicker with less people, and it's better than what the big boys are putting out. And you could say that the big boys are killing themselves, and they really are, but they almost kind of can't help it. It's like they're just still living in that old school world and putting so much effort in production, and there's still value to that and creativity to that. And again, like Rockstar is going to tell the tale of that. And by all accounts, GTA 6 should be as mind blowing as everyone thinks it's going to be. But with AI, you would think maybe you get to a GTA 7 sooner with less people. And is that a good or bad thing? I don't know. Ethically, I don't know. Man. I don't know. You could argue developers will still be there, and maybe there'll be smaller amounts of them working on games they're passionate about, rather than being in these big companies working on stuff maybe they don't care about so much. I don't know. But we're in a time of change with games, and it's clear that is the case. But yeah, but it's funny with the Project Genie, with the Wall Street panic and everything. It's like, dude, these demos only run at 24 frames per second, and I think they're locked at like 720p or something. Maybe more than 720. Maybe they are HD at 1080. But it's like, I mean, come on, man. Like, everybody calm the shit down, bro. Everybody calm down, bro. Calm down, bro. Everybody calm down. But it's funny. It's funny to see the normies lose their mind over video games. But it's interesting. Google hasn't done anything good and solid in a very long time. So I think it's cool that they did this, but I highly doubt that they capitalize on this in any meaningful way. If anything, some other company will copy what they did and probably like take it across the finish line. Um, Next, we talked about Xbox a lot here, and Xbox just continues to decline. Um, the hardware sales, they've been horrible, and um, like the financials for Microsoft came out, or they were having like a shareholder call or whatever, and basically like there's a screenshot that went around the line that was like an underline that was saying like gaming is the reason we didn't hit our numbers. Like gaming was the bad part of Microsoft. It was Xbox. Like everything else in Microsoft is doing great. Everything else that we do is great. Gaming sucks. Xbox sucks. Essentially is what it was saying. Or as far as like, monetarily. And so, like with Xbox, like they're just in such a weird place, like and again, like PlayStation, the buzz is like, hey, we're gonna hold off on like PlayStation 7 and because like hardware cost and like, it's just are we even ready for a 7? And with Xbox, they keep saying like we're gonna put out a box. Don't worry, we'll put out a box. We know you guys like a box. But everything they're doing is like against that, like they want you to stream the games, which I don't know if we have the infrastructure to do that. I mean, like if I want to like stream Vampire Survivors, on my game and with my controller, there probably wouldn't be a lot of latency issues. But can I stream like Red Dead Redemption 2? I don't know, man. I don't know if we could do that yet. Or maybe I could if I have like good internet or something. But the masses, can we do that yet? They're like, everything's an Xbox. And so like what they want to do is like they want it to be like Netflix, or like streaming. So like, like back in the day, like if you had cable, you had a box in your house, and then you had cable or satellite. If you have satellite, you have a satellite box, and then point your satellite and then pay the fee, and then you have TV. You turn on your TV and plug it in, change the channels, and bada bing, bada boom. Now you buy TVs, and the TVs just have apps in them. Netflix, Disney Plus, Tubi, Amazon Prime, Apple TV, whatever. And so now you pay for those, and like you don't need a box. So you just have to have internet. And then like now you have TV, YouTube TV. Just turn on YouTube TV as my app. And that's kind of like cable. It's like, okay, I have cable now. But you're streaming through the internet. So, Xbox has been going this way, like with Game Pass, which Game Pass is highly expensive. It's like $30, which there's different versions and tiers that are confusing. And they're putting like Halo on PlayStation and shit. I mean, like they're banking that the future is no box, which is interesting that they're called Xbox. And I wonder like if we get to a point where it's no longer Xbox, they can't call it X because of Elon Musk. But, like will they change the name of this at some point? Since it's not a box anymore. But like, I don't want to live in that world where we don't have consoles. But that's the world that Xbox is pushing, and then PlayStation's not pushing that. But I think PlayStation knows that that's like inevitable eventually, especially with like the high cost of everything, to like make a computer or a console. And so they're kind of like, they make their bread and butter off of PlayStation as a console. I mean, shit, the games that Sony makes, do they even make games anymore? I mean, like all of their games are like movies and TV shows now. But I mean, on my PlayStation, like I have Fortnite and Gotcha games downloaded. Those aren't games that you buy or you spend money on, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. Like I can play those games on anything. There's your occasional games that are on there, like Spider-Man, I guess, whatever the hell. But yeah, it's what are we gonna do? But then you have Steam, who's like, hey, you got a computer, you can play our games. They're gonna put out, they're putting a box out, and I'm that's the one thing like outside of like GTA 6 and like if that actually happens and seeing what that's like. I mean, I don't want to see what the Steam box is gonna be, the Steam machine or whatever it's called. And how much is that thing going to cost? Again, with the prices going, I mean, if they came in and they came in cheap, they would really kind of rock the market a lot. But they'll probably come in. It'll probably be a grand. I was just call it what it is. It'll probably be like a grand, maybe 700-800, like a PS Pro, PS5 Pro. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's weird. PS4 came out in 2013. PS5 comes out in 2020. We're in 2026. Do we get new consoles in 2027, or does the decline of Xbox, does the dissolving of Xbox, like, speak to something else? Yeah, I don't know. But it's something, something I've seen in the news, and something that's been going around. So I want to talk about a little bit. And, if I had to make a prediction, I think they will have another box, and I think it'll be super expensive. And I think they'll bill it as like a premium niche thing. But like out of like one side of their mouth, they will say, here's a new Xbox. It's everything a gamer wants. And it's going to be like premium. So like your average Xbox 360 type buyer probably won't buy it, because they're not going to have the money for it, or they're not going to see the value of it. And then I think out of the other side of their mouth, they're going to be like, but you don't have to buy this premium niche thing, this Ferrari of a console. You can just play it anywhere. Do Game Pass on your TV, PC. Hell, I mean, there's a world where Game Pass could be on a PlayStation or a Nintendo Switch. There's a world where I could get on my PlayStation one day, and I could go to the Xbox app, and I could pay my $30-$40 a month, and then download my games there, like onto my PlayStation. Right? Isn't that something that could happen? Now, at that point, PlayStation would probably do their own thing, which they have their own, right? PlayStation has their own, like, here's your monthly game, and they have like their essentials that they already have a version of that, which is also highly confusing. But you know what I'm saying? Like Xbox, I could see Xbox being like, hey man, PlayStation, and we'll give you a big cut. Just throw us on there. I don't know, man. It's weird. I think everyone's going to continue to make consoles, but I think they're going to be pretty niche. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it's not going to be like cell phones. I think the Switch 2, without like their games, like their Mario games, their kids games, I think like with the Switch, I don't know if Nintendo ever does anything interesting again. I think Nintendo may just be, here's a Switch 2, here's a Switch 3, and it's going to be like iPhones. And it's like, here's just the new iPhone. Here's the new Nintendo, which is very boring, but very smart for them, because it just makes them insane amounts of money just to have a handheld that does that, or acts like that. The Switch was so successful. I would love for them to come out with some kind of crazy ass Wii thing, but like that's what I would want, because it'd be interesting and cool. I'm playing Rock Band over here. I want something interesting and tactile and interesting. But that's ridiculous. Why would they do that when they can just make buku's money by just making a Switch 2 or a Super Switch or Switch 3 or whatever, right? So I think they're going to continue to just do their thing and just be like a phone, just iterate. But then for the others, the PlayStation and Xbox, and they've always been, kind of, not, I don't know, I guess not everybody has a console, but there was a time when consoles were kind of affordable. And this time with Xbox Series S and X, they kind of played both ways. We're like, we'll give you an S for cheap, which they've raised the prices on. And then the X is for the real gamers. And I think now with technology and the way they're pushing, I think they're just going to be like, that cheap version's just not going to exist. I think it's just going to be premium. And I think with the world we live in now, I just don't know if people can afford premium anymore, man. I just don't think they can. Like, your average everyday person, like when PlayStation 3 came out, they were $900, I think. But $900 was kind of different back then. Like people could do $900 because which is expensive. That's a lot of money. But the internet wasn't as expensive. The utilities, housing, education was pretty expensive, but nobody was paying for it because they had student loans, which they're paying for now. But cars, gas, like nothing else was, food was just not as expensive. So you could have somebody working like, I mean, I had a buddy who was working part time, I think, and he was in college and he had a roommate or two, and he could afford to put back and get like a $900 PlayStation 3. I just don't know if that's a thing anymore. We'll see if they, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what they do. Anyway, I rambled a lot on that. I hope that my energy levels get better. I hope that I can stream a little bit more. You know, I'm just trying to catch up. You know, like I think, like I said, having the new baby, I've been just kind of redlining for a long time, and with when you recover with your energy levels, you kind of get to a point where you start to sleep more and more steady, and then it just takes you like a week or two just to kind of like even out. So I'm thinking that's what's happening. And again, this cold or this weird thing, like whatever this is, I'm hoping that I get rid of it soon. We'll see what happens. But the energy's kind of coming back, you know, so we'll see what happens, and hopefully the streams ramp up, dude. I'm not gonna talk about Royal Rumble because I haven't watched it yet. I don't even know what happens. I usually watch it every year, but it was like middle of the day in Saudi Arabia, and I was like, I'll watch it later. I gotta go help my dad buy a computer. Yeah, thanks for everyone hanging out. You know, come hang out in the Discord. Most of everybody in the Discord's talking about World of Warcraft right now. That's what we're all excited about, going into the portal and killing Illidan eventually, I guess. And you know, you can always reach out to DalorrianTV@gmail.com for any corrections or comments or anything like the questions you may have. The Discord also has feedback, but you can say what you want wherever there. And then you can always comment on the YouTube video if you're watching this on YouTube, or on the Spotify or Apple, wherever you're doing that. You can always comment there. Like and subscribe helps a lot, helps the channels. And I hope you have a great week, and we'll do it again next time. See you guys.